Hello Internet, coming here with a video I've been meaning to make for a very long time on Defiance Bars, otherwise known as using CC or crowd control. Defiance Bars are a core mechanic in Guild Wars 2 that are not very well explained by the game itself. There are also people out there who don't really know what CC is. I've heard of it described as close combat, which is completely wrong. It's actually crowd control. You will usually find a Defiance bar underneath the health bar of champions, legendary enemies, raid bosses and even some skill challenges. Breaking a Defiance bar often bestows a positive effect on the fight, such as stunning the enemy or breaking them out of a chain of skills, or even just simply allowing them to take more damage. Do note though that some groups may prefer to not break a Defiance bar in certain situations. For example, at Gorseval, you can actually extend the amount of time you have to fight if you do not break the Defiance bar, in exchange for having to put up with more of the mechanic for longer. There are two categories of CC, hard and soft CC. Here I'm going to use Entangle, which does Immobilize. The Immobilize is a condi which ticks over time, and as you can see, slowly but surely the Defiance bar ticks down. The longer my condi duration, the more ticks of Defiance that can be broken. The other kind of CC is hard CC. These are control effects that take immediate action, and the mileage you get on them will vary. Here I'm going to use some dazes and stuns to immediately damage the bar. The amount of damage done varies from skill to skill, but typically a hard CC is going to be more damaging than a soft CC. In a raid fight, it's really important that you know where your CC skills are, so I recommend you take the time to try and find out. You can actually practice breaking Defiance bars on the golem in the fractal lobby. Simply go to the golem options and set the spawner to be of champion rank. Once you've done that, you can spawn yourself either an idle or a moving golem, depending on whether your CC relies on the golem actually moving through a field or not. Not every class and every build will have equal measure of crowd control abilities. Some will be able to break a bar quite easily on their own and others will struggle. I'm going to run through a few examples for those who are interested, just to show where some of the crowd control abilities come from. If you're a chrono, you can easily smash the break bar using just Gravity Well and Temporal Curtain on focus. Take care when using focus pulls. In some encounters you may not want them, such as pulling Seekers onto the stack at Veil Guardian. Signet of Humility is also a very powerful crowd control skill. Notice how it just smashed the bar in one hit. If you're a Condi Mesmer or Condi Mirage, you can also use Magic Bullet on Pistol Offhand to do an extra little bit of CC on top. Rangers have a massive arsenal of crowd control skills at their disposal. Here on Condi Ranger, I'm using Entangle Elite, Concussion Shot on Shortbow, and my Electric Wyvern to break the break bar. Other recommended pets are the Rock Gazelle, Pink Mower and Black Mower. A Magi Staff Druid is also very capable of breaking the break bar, even in situations like this where Vine Surge didn't do much damage and my pet missed. Here I'm using Natural Convergence, the 5th skill in Celestial Avatar, and because I have it on Quick Draw and used it as the first skill when I entered, I can use it quickly in succession. A Power PS Warrior is also capable of dealing a huge amount of break bar damage. Here I'm using Headbutt, Pommel Bash and Shield Bash on Mace Shield. In this other example I use Headbutt and Skullcrack, the burst ability for Mace. Condi PS however struggles to break the break bar in one go. Here I'm using Headbutt, Pin Down on Longbow, Savage Leap on Sword, Blaze Breaker on Torch, Flurry, the base sword burst skill, and Hamstring, the final sword auto attack, and the Defiance bar still stands. Many of these skills stack Cripple, which doesn't do a great deal of break bar damage. The Staff Ellie doesn't have it too easy either. Here I'm using Gust and Static Field in air, Shockwave and Unsteady Ground in earth, Frozen Ground in water, and Deep Freeze, the Frostbow's 5th skill before the bar is broken. It's a similar story in Star Fresh Air, the only difference is that you're using Wind Blast, the third skill of Lightning Hammer. In an actual raid scenario, you probably don't want to be cycling achievements like this, because you can get stuck into an achievement that locks you out of doing your biggest damage. It's a bit of a weak build these days, but for example's sake, here's Dagger Warhorn Fresh Air. Here I'm using Cyclone in Air, Tidal Surge and Frozen Burst in Water, Magnetic Grasp in Earth, and normally you would have Field of Burn, but since we've exhausted all skills, the only way to finish the bar was to use Icebow's Deep Freeze. It's a different story on Necro, where you can spam almost any skill and break the break bar. Here I start with Plague Lands, pulsing all kinds of conditions, some of which are crowd control. I also slowly and casually use Locust Swarm and Whale of Doom on Warhorn, and I throw in Scepter's Grasping Dead for good measure. What about Reaper Greatsword? You could use Grasping Darkness, Nightfall, and the final auto attack skill Chilling Scythe. But what if you need even more CC? You could go into your Reaper Shroud and use Terrify and Executioner's Scythe. A Power Dragon Hunter can use Dragon's Maw, the elite skill, Greatsword's Binding Blades Pull, and Chains of Light on Scepter. In an absolute emergency, you could use Bane Signet, but you want to avoid using it because you will incur a massive DPS loss by doing so. If you try Staff Daredevil, you might be tempted to use Impact Strike and Palm Strike for the daisies, but it only actually breaks half the break bar. The stronger choice is to actually use Basilisk Venom, but if you use it just on your own, you get this disappointing result. However, since it applies to up to 5 allies, when they strike they will also inflict Basilisk Venom, and the effect is like this. Even entities such as Mesmer clones count as allies. Here I do the same with just one Mesmer. Healing or tanky Revenants aren't really cut out for breaking Defiance Bars. Here I use Ventari Stance's Energy Expulsion, which, as per the description, nukes your energy. I poke a little with Precision Strike on Sword and use Dragon Stance's Elemental Blast. I use these skills a few more times, then finally I can use Grasping Shadow on Sword. What about Power Revenant? Well, Power Revenant could just use Surge of the Mist on Staff. Another option is to use Temporal Rift and Frigid Blitz in Axe offhand. Here I still need to use Elemental Blast in Dragon Stance, but I can also use Forced Engagement in Dwarf Stance. Though, as you can see, Staff does a whole ton more breakbar damage. Finally, Condi Engineer. Streamline Kits is a trait that does a pull once you enter Bomb Kit. While in Bomb Kit you can use Glue Bomb, and in Pistol you can use Glue Shot. I also planted Big Ol' Bomb using the utility skill, and Flamethrower's Air Blast. Hopefully this guide has been useful to you. Even if I have listed your build here, I still recommend that you spend time trying to find your CC skills and practice getting to them quickly. Best of luck!